And hello, Sean Brady, here with my man Scott Crosby in the audio recording studios of Medici MediaSpace. How you doing, Scott?
I don't have as much energy as you.
Oh, man, come on. What's in that Canada Dry ginger ale? It's got to be something.
Just ginger ale, actually.
It's got ginger in it. That's good it's got peach mango flavor. Come on. It's got all kinds of stuff in there. It's got to be happy for you. So we're talking about fun stuff today.
What would be a new slogan for Canada Dry, actually? I was thinking about that.
I don't know. I think just Canada Dry is our slogan, isn't it? All natural.
It's peachy.
Mango peach. I think they could have that mango peach a little bit bigger.
Probably. You're probably right.
But, I don't know. They got a nice lock on the market. So, I mean, how many people make ginger ale? Schweppes?
I have a topic that I've been wanting to talk about. I'm thinking about writing a LinkedIn post on it as well.
Uh-oh.
Something that's been on my mind.
Perfect.
Lately. Maybe we can discuss.
Well, Scott, so give the audience, I know you pretty well.
Oh, that's true.
And you know me pretty well. But everybody out there in listening land doesn't. So I know you to be not only a great guy, but your past fractional CEO, COO type roles, positions, right? Leading companies and helping people move through those big leadership type decisions. And I also know you on the fun side, which is voiceover talent and recording, and you're doing stuff not just for business, but also audiobooks. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And I also wanted to find out your perspectives as a CEO. What do you see people doing in this recording business that is like, wow, intuitively you would just know they could possibly be doing a little bit better. What you think of that?
That actually dovetails pretty nicely into the topic that I wanted to bring up, but my standard answer when somebody asks me what I do is a little of this and a little of that.
I know what you mean. There's a few people like that around here.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've got a business background, but I also am this strange blend of business and creativity. So I understand that it's show business and not...
Make sure there's a business
exactly.
with the show.
So I think in that mindset, but I also have these weird ideas for TV shows and movies and guitar riffs and songs and all sorts of stuff too. And I think it's a good release from the business world to do the creative stuff, but it's actually turned into a job in a business as well.
We'll talk about that.
But LinkedIn, it's fun.
Your LinkedIn post idea.
Oh yeah, so it's perfect. It's a perfect fit, actually. I was thinking about this the other day. I've got a couple introverted friends.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And Sean's not one of them. So
no, I am not.
Introverted friends are jealous of my ability to network and build my network. And we were just talking before we hit record that between the two of us, over 4,000 LinkedIn contacts alone. And there's introverts that are envious of that.
Yes.
And we were also discussing how we've built that, and something we both discovered we do, which I didn't know, is we spend time, at least once a week, making calls to contacts and making calls to people we haven't talked to and just checking in with people. And introverts, that scares the crap out of them. If you tell someone to make a phone call to someone they don't know or they haven't talked to in a while or they might not be great friends with, that's mentally draining.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think it'd be an awesome discussion to give introverts some tips on how to build and maintain a network.
Yeah.
Because it comes natural to Sean and I. We can talk to anyone at any time, in any situation. And
pretty much about anything.
And we're friends probably for life after that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this guy a couple of months ago, and we're doing a podcast right now. So
instantly.
I have no idea if it's going to be good.
Well, my shortest turnaround time for meeting someone to podcast?
What?
I think it was about 4 minutes. I'm not kidding. We did it just like last month.
Usually when I write a LinkedIn post or an article, I put some thought into it. I edit it. I write. I just came up with this topic. I have no idea the tips I want to give people. I just have some things swirling in mind. Maybe we can hash it out on this podcast.
Absolutely.
The first one I thought, and I don't have any advice, is to turn networking into something that an introvert likes. As in, turning into a math equation, turn it into a spreadsheet of some sort. And maybe it's tracking your phone calls or tracking the emails you make on Excel and making that into some kind of game.
That would definitely work for an introvert, yes. For many introverts, not all.
Not all.
But for many, yes. And, I would even say, find the common ground. You're always looking for common ground. And I'm going to stop your speaking a little bit because you do have an idea. You have a very good idea on what to do in these situations, and you've probably forgotten more things that you can do from a networking standpoint than a lot of people out there are going, I don't know how to network with people. That's not something I want to do. That's out of my comfort zone. So the reality of the thing is that I know one of the things that I do is I always look for common ground, and I'm always interested with a question, and that's my curiosity, exploratory nature. What is this? Wow, what's interesting about this other person? They may not look like me, they may not dress like me, they may not sound like me, but there's something over there. We all have our unique talents, abilities, cool differences about us. But what makes us tick? What's going on over there? I think at the end of the day, we're all human and we all need to connect. But what's that thing about? How does that person want to connect? What do they want to do?
So keep it simple to start. So if you're a CPA, maybe start with networking with another CPA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you've got a CPA in your network, spend some time on Friday crafting an email or send them a LinkedIn message and just say hi. And a lot of introverts and a lot of type A people especially are problem solvers, they're list makers, they're task masters. So maybe you might be stuck on an issue somewhere or stuck on a problem. It could even be even at home or anything, and maybe reach out to someone
completely
to ask for advice on how to solve the problem.
And it doesn't have to be something really hard or like a big stretch of work. Unless you want to make it work, it's fine. Whatever floats your boat. But the way I always think about it, it's like, what's top of mind for you right now? So let's use the accounting example, right? What are the big projects that you're working on now that you can not openly discuss about the clients, but you can, those are certain sound bites or talking points that you just have a natural curiosity about. And it doesn't mean the other party is, but you're certainly an expert in what you're doing. And if you're certainly in a room with other accountants, you're going to have some common ground. And you'll be able to talk with those other people about that. And from there, you can branch off and ask another question that's completely not accounting related. Like, wow, what do you do when you're not accounting?
Or 3 accountants walk into a bar.
Right. 3 accountants go on a road trip.
On the flip side to that, it's kind of like you and I sitting down to do 8 hours of QuickBooks.
Wow.
Can we even imagine doing that?
I'm scratching my eyeballs out right now thinking about it.
So that is probably how some people that are introverts feel about networking and meeting new people.
Now, I will say this, though. And my wife, who is a CPA tax accountant, and when I first got into real estate, I got into a specific niche, and we worked with the IRC, Internal Revenue Code, 1031. So I actually read the code, and it was tough. It was really tough for me, really tough. But then once I understood it about, falling asleep multiple times over the period of at least 4 months, it wasn't a big section of the code. But I read specific code, and I'm like, I think I almost memorized it. But once I understood how it worked and the nuances that actually benefited people, then I got really excited. I'm like, well, wow, I can help people save a lot of money. And that's when my wife got really excited too. She said, I know, isn't it cool? This tax code is so cool. And so the point is, there is common ground, but it's not necessarily easily achieved all the time, especially with different personality types.
That is definitely true. And tracking it in Excel or tracking it in some form, if you're the type of person that likes to check boxes and create to-do lists, maybe that's a motivator, or maybe that's something that will get you excited because you'll be able to see it then.
Completely.
I didn't call this person today to see how they're doing. I didn't check that box. That's going to annoy me the rest of the weekend now. But I like to do it on Fridays. For years, I've set goals to reach out to people in my network, professional and personal, friends, people I haven't talked to, professional contacts. And most of the time I call. A lot of times I'll write probably anywhere between 1 to 5 handwritten thank you notes also.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Or I'll send a LinkedIn message or an email. But my first 2 are hands down phone calls and thank you notes because people remember those. People remember a thank you note.
Well, and they're easy to do too.
So
right, you can pick up the phone and dial the number.
My recommendation to introverts is to write a thank you note. You don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But it's something memorable that the other person receiving it they'll think of you, and it's a way to keep in contact with your network without having to call if you don't feel comfortable doing that. So that's another good tip for introverts. And
it doesn't have to be a lot. It's like you said, just checking in, man. What's going on? Got any big plans for the weekend?
When I leave messages, when I make my calls, that's the very first thing I say. I don't need anything. I'm just checking in to say hi. I haven't talked to you in a while, and I want to help you if there's anything you ever need.
Yeah, because it's true. It's authentic. It's real, right?
It's authentic, and I don't want when you check in with people you haven't talked to in a while, they always think you're calling for something.
Right.
You're raising money for a charity. You're trying to sell me something.
I'm a timeshare.
Exactly. So I always start that off.
I have a new network marketing business.
Yeah, exactly.
My wife's laughing when she
It's
hears
not a pyramid scheme.
It's not. No, it totally is real.
Totally. So
I met the guy who's making $1 million.
Exactly. I always start off the call. Hey, I don't need anything. I'm just checking in. How are you? Call me back. And
now, for all my high friends who are in the network marketing business, and we're disparaging you, we're having a little fun at your expense, and I'm sure you're smiling with us because we are. And it's not to disparage anyone or any business. There's something to be said for all the things that do get done, and we have these internal conversations already pre-programmed. We all do, right? And, they make commercials about it. It's so funny. It's the stuff of comedians. It's so funny. And
exactly.
That's what makes it funny because it happens more often than not.
And there are other tips I could share, but that will make introverts go crazy. And we've given you a few things already, so just start with that. Start with the basics. But networks need to be maintained. They're like a car engine. They're like anything else in your life. It needs maintenance. And I've done it a lot over my career, and so has Sean, and that's why we have a lot of connections. We know people, I think.
Every what is it? So like your oil change, right? Every 3 months.
Exactly.
Not necessarily 3,000 communications because that's a lot, but what if you did every 3,000 emails? Because unfortunately, it doesn't take that long to get 3,000 emails anymore.
It doesn't, and if you do it every Friday, by the end of the year, let's say you do every Friday and you do 5 to 10 touches.
Yes.
That adds up.
Yeah. And from a spreadsheet or a high I don't want to say introvert all the time because other people who are not introverts do this, but just from a pure tracking standpoint, which can be really fun for a lot of people, is just look at it's like, you know what? You're not going to touch everybody in your database all the time. And then you actually get to one of the exercises, I'm sure you do this, is grade your database on who's not just you're calling out to, but who's calling back. And who are you doing business with and how many of those, and you can figure out really quickly a percentage of those people you're doing business with. It's not going to be everybody this year. Maybe you do something cyclical every 4 to 5 years. So it could be, it's easy to figure out the number of touches. And then it's also easy to figure out, it's like, wow, here's where I can spend the majority of my time. Maybe I need to increase that connection time. Maybe I need to decrease it. I don't know, depending on what's happening. But I like your, once a week, just do a couple 2-3 calls.
Just a few.
A few. It's not a lot.
Not a lot.
5 minutes.
Yeah, that's about all it takes. And, so that's was on my mind the other day. So
that's a good one.
I thought it was perfect for this discussion.
So if you had to break it down and do a couple bullet points, what would be the 3 Just breaking down your perfect LinkedIn blog post.
Turn it into
article.
a game or something relatable to what you like.
Yeah.
So if it's creating a to-do list so you can check it off.
Yeah.
If you can make it into an Excel spreadsheet, track it somehow.
Love it.
Keep it really simple, too. It doesn't need to be a long message. And do a couple. And it could be handwritten notes or phone calls. Any kind of communication to start. Because really, by doing it once a week, and I pick Fridays because those are slower days usually, you're forming a habit.
Yes.
And you'll feel it if you're in the mode of calling and you're like, oh, I did a couple. Keep calling.
Right.
But a handwritten note takes a couple minutes. You can crank 2 or 3 of them out and write the exact same message in each one, send it off, and you're done. But just do those few things and you'll be off and running.
And that, or, probably over an email, LinkedIn message, or even a Facebook message, or even a text. It's a personal, it's just a quick bite of information that makes all the difference in the world. It has people know that you're authentically thinking about them, right? And you're curious. So those are a couple of suggestions. And piggyback, I think of Bob Bunch. Did you meet Bob yet? The Brady Bunch lunch, Bob Bunch?
No.
So Bob Bunch introduced me to Send Out Cards, which is another network marketing thing, which one of the things I like about it is that it adds in a new touch point for me.
Totally.
And it's like, and my medium with video and photos and stuff like that, I'm doing it all the time. It's just a natural expression for me. And, that's where I get my discipline. I try to do 3 a day because I can send them out.
Thank you notes.
Thank you
notes. Yeah.
The send out cards, because, again, similar, I can do the same body of the text, personalize it, and then just, it's like, P.S., man, how did that thing go with your book?
Exactly.
Whatever, your article, what's going on with
And when's the last time you got something in the mail?
Exactly.
People love getting mail, actually. We've come full circle. I used to hate getting mail because it was all bills and bank statements. And
I won't lie. I've used handwritten notes, and they work extremely well.
Extremely well.
And the other thing I'll say is I don't necessarily do a lot of them. But that's how rare it is, because stuff gets opened by top-level executives, by whoever.
It'll make it to the desk.
Talk about getting an interview for people looking for a job. Send a handwritten note. Your resume can look like I do not have the best resume, but I want a lot of jobs because I think I just sent a thank you note or a handwritten note.
Totally.
Or even just a thank you letter that was typed up off my computer and I signed it. So, do that. It's beyond an email. It's a little bit more personalized. Personalization is the wave of the future. We have too much technology now that it's just too easy not to do.
Sean, do we want introverts taking over our network? We're doing pretty good right now. We're marketing, sales. I don't know. Should we be giving these tips even?
Who knows? Maybe it's really for the high extroverts that should be listening to this and doing more of it, right?
That's true, actually.
There's a good blend and a good balance, but I think that's where it all comes into play.
Very true.
It's all good. What else we got for now? Or should we hold pause? We can always edit it out later. Except for my podcast, which is uncut, unedited, and always off the cuff and in the moment.
I got nothing else. I'm out.
All right, cool, man. Hey, Mr. Crosby, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Brady Bunch, for having me on.
I told you this would be fun. And we didn't have to have an agenda going into this. It's just a podcast.
No agenda, off the cuff discussion, something that's been on my mind. It's perfect.
Well, here's the thing that I found.
Friday.
I found this
drinking
to be
a Canada Dry.
You can't mess up when you're the expert in the thing and you're just thinking through this thing that you're doing.
That's true.
You didn't write the letter yet. We're thinking about it. We're talking about it. We're expressing it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I guarantee your post is going to be so much better because of it.
And it got me thinking. Just a couple people that aren't sales and marketing type people were asking me how I built my network and how I maintain and how I'm so good at keeping in touch with people.
And I'll
I've never actually shared my strategies on how I do that.
The thing I found is that
I just did.
If you are more of an engineer or definitely a process oriented person, here's what I found to be true. You actually have an advantage because you will do those same things systematically and regularly, unlike someone who my natural ability won't. I just won't do it. I'll let my emails go up. It's like I'll put mail will be stacked up. It won't be organized. Drives my wife crazy.
If you have to give a speech in front of someone off the cuff right now, you could do it.
I could do it. I could, yeah. I think is there 800 people over there? Not a problem.
Not a problem.
What do you need me to talk about?
Exactly.
Give me 3 sound bites, I'll be fine.
And guess what? The world needs both types of people.
Absolutely.
We couldn't. If you were in charge and everyone was like you, Sean, I'd move to Canada.
I might too.
Then I could get Canada Dry all I want.
Exactly.
Cheaper, probably.
Probably. I hope so.
Do they make Canada Dry in Canada?
I don't know. Is it made in Canada? It's not. Well, it's not made in Canada because they have distribution rights for the local soda distributor,
is
right?
what I think it says.
But that's what I was going to say too. The most successful salespeople I've met they came out of more of that engineering, systematized.
Plano, Texas. I just feel ripped off right now. I feel ripped off.
It's all licensing. It's like Budweiser, and everybody sells out, man.
Very true.
It's all good. Well, I hope this helped you people, and always listen for Scott, listen for Sean, and if we don't see you in person, we'll see you on social media.